Hello everyone. Hope you all can see what is on this plate. You may all love eating fish, but at least once have you thought how this fish in the ocean comes to your plate? To give you this nice piece of fish, how much the fishermen are going through? Mid of the ocean, all surrounded by water, risking their lives. We get what we need, but do they get what they need? This is about that story. So let me introduce my research title, An Assessment of Marine Fisheries Supply Chain in Western Province, Sri Lanka, to develop a conceptual model for a mobile application for improved market participation. First of all, I'll discuss briefly the fisheries industry in Sri Lanka. Fisheries industry contributed to the national economy by 1.3% of the GDP in 2019. It had provided employment opportunities for more than 585,000 of the people in the country. And fish is considered as the main animal protein source for Sri Lankan meals. Throughout this study, there come some key terms. One such is fisheries supply chain. It gives a meaning that set of processes and activities to produce and deliver a product from fisherman to consumer. And another key term is market participation, giving the idea of involvement in markets. Now let's see what is a mobile application is. A mobile phone is a device we all use. So a mobile application is a simple program runs on that mobile phone, which is also an ICT tool. The specialty is this enables efficient and effective dissemination of information. As you can see in this graph, during the last decade, from 2009 to 2019, mobile phone subscriptions per 100 inhabitants has increased from 81 to 144. Now let's just discuss briefly some problems faced by the fishermen in Sri Lanka. According to the literature, though the fish production has increased annually, still there's less improvement in living standards of fishermen. And also, middlemen have hindered the independent growth and development of fishermen. Fish is considered a highly perishable commodity that can be contaminated easily from the time of capture until it is eaten. And limited and delayed access to market by fishermen during uncertain times of the year has caused wastage of fish. Based on all these problems, I could see that there's an information asymmetry in fisheries supply chain of Sri Lanka. When going through the prior researches conducted on similar topics, it showed that there's lack of research on effective communication methods, basically ICT tools, among sellers and buyers in fisheries industry. So I decided to conduct this research. The general objective for this research is to assess the fisheries supply chain and develop a conceptual model for a mobile application to improve the market participation. The specific objectives for the research is to map the main and intermediate actors and their information needs in the fisheries supply chain, to identify the existing methods of the ICT tools used by the fishermen, to explain the factors affecting the intention to use ICT tools, to identify the problems and limitations related to market participation by fishermen, to develop a conceptual model for a mobile application to improve the market participation by fishermen. So based on the literature, I could develop this conceptual framework. In here, the independent variables are categorized under three main factors: socio-economic factors, institutional factors, and ICT influence. So, Probit model was selected as the econometric model based on the binary nature of the dependent variable, and the specified Probit model is in the slide. Now let's see how I conducted this research. For the data collection, primarily a questionnaire survey and key informant interviews were used. Questionnaire survey covered these three specific objectives, and key informant interviews covered these two specific objectives. The study design is a cross-sectional study, including both descriptive data and inferential data. Population considered is fishermen in Western Province. Sample size 77. Sampling unit is a fisherman. Sampling procedure is multi-stage cluster sampling and convenience sampling. And the sample was selected from Negombo, Dikkowita, and Veruwala fisheries harbours. And data analysis was done using SPSS and Startup. Now, let's see the key informant interviews. This table shows the key informant interviews I conducted with the major stakeholders in the fisheries industry. There I could conduct 15 key informant interviews. And next, let's see what the results and discussion part says. According to the data collected from the key informant interviews, I could map this fisheries supply chain and get it validated from the experts in the Department of Fisheries. According to this supply chain, mainly fish is supplied to export market and local market. For the export market, process agents, suppliers and fishermen are supplied, while for the local market, other than the process agents, all the other actors of the fishery supply chain is supplied. Now let's see what demographic data says. According to the age distribution of the respondents, it showed that most of the respondents are between the age group 40 to 60, and according to the years of experience in fisheries, most of the respondents have more than 10 years of experience, showing that they are a well-experienced group of people. And based on their education level, 44% of the respondents are having below O-level education, and 41% of respondents had their education up to O-level. And based on the major income source, 96% of the respondents have fisheries as their major income source, while 4% have other income sources. Based on the type of fish boat, the respondents could be categorized into two groups as those who have multi-day boat and day boat, as in this chart. And this shows how institutional factors affect. 73% of the respondents are members of community-based organizations such as Ceylon Multi-Day Boat Owners Society, Rural Fisheries Cooperative Society likewise. And this table shows some interesting data. It shows that all the respondents have at least one ICT tool and all of them are using mobile phones. Based on the ICT literacy of the respondents, 51% of them had high ICT literacy and 49% of them had low ICT literacy. And according to their willingness to use a mobile application for market participation, 68% of the respondents said yes, while 32% of the respondents said no. Now, to analyze the questionnaire survey, I used a Probit regression. To validate this Probit regression model, a novelty test, collinearity diagnosis, model fit, pseudo R-squared were calculated and they were at their acceptance levels. The results of the Probit regression shows that having another income method, being a member in a community-based organization, and having awareness of online business or having high ICT tool usage had a significant positive effect to have the intention to use ICT tool for market participation. To find the magnitude of this effect, marginal effects were calculated and it showed that having another income method has a probability of 34.2% to use ICT tool for market participation, while being a member in a community-based organization had 37% probability, and having awareness of online business had 47.3%, and having high ICT tool usage had 1.6% of probability to use ICT tool for market participation. Throughout this study, I could identify some major problems faced by the fisheries supply chain. They are poor access to daily market prices by fishermen, obtaining less portion of the retail prices by fishermen, and unavailability of automated traceability data for export market. Based on these problems, to address them, a conceptual model for a mobile application for fish market was proposed, and it is included in this slide. It includes major features such as local and export product space, daily price dashboard, transaction details, transport services, and a forum for feedback and rating. Now, my conclusion says, we can use an ICT tool to address the problems of the fishermen, considering their potential to use ICT tools as they had high ICT tool usage, high ICT literacy, and high mobile phone availability. And to promote such a mobile application for fish market, we can target the fishermen with other income methods who are members in community-based organization, who have awareness of online businesses, and who have high ICT tool usage. And we can use the proposed conceptual model to develop the mobile application for fish market, but further research is needed to modify this model. So finally, my recommendation is to develop a mobile application that can be accessed by all the actors of fisheries supply chain, and it should necessarily include daily market price data and traceability related information. So these are the key references I used. Thank you.